Good afternoon. My name is Chris Curry, and I am with Families Together. It's an organization that serves families who have children with disabilities, and we are here today to present on Children Who Challenge. When I am out and about for Families Together, I spend a lot of time working with children with behavior problems, and I'm known as a behavior specialist. So that means I have seen children with a wide range of behavior problems, from children with very severe disabilities who have maybe just a problem where they're biting their hand, to children who are very high functioning with autism, who would be running around the room and jumping on the tables. And I would be called in to help parents and teachers learn to deal with those behaviors. So I'm going to do three things today. First thing we're going to talk about is how to understand behavior. Because if you don't understand children, you really can't help them with their behavior problems. The next thing we're going to talk about is how to teach them new behaviors, because that's what everybody wants. We want them to do what we want them to do. And the third thing is going to be very short, where we tell you about when you should probably go and get some expert help for your child, when perhaps the child's disability or the child's behavior problem is indicative of something that is beyond a parenting issue. So the first thing we want to do is just enjoy children. We want to enjoy the stretch. We had children, we wanted to have children, we chose to be a family, we thought this is going to be a really fun thing to do. And so we want to enjoy learning all the new things about children. So when your child decides he wants to be a ballet star and you thought he was going to be a football player, you're just going to enjoy that and think, well, that's kind of new. I didn't expect that. And you're going to really learn to love the children that you have. And sometimes that's difficult because you thought they were going to be just like you, and they probably are. And you probably need to love them anyway. And then you need to learn some new ways. Because children today have to face things and are exposed to things that you did not face and were not exposed to. So they are going to know things sooner than you knew them. They're going to see things sooner than you saw them. They're going to grow up very, very quickly. So you need to learn some new ways to parent those children that are in your life. You need to watch successful people. Sometimes your mother-in-law is going to be the best teacher you've ever seen for teaching you how to take care of your children. And sometimes that's going to be the person you want to watch and not imitate. So I want to show you a little video. And this video, you probably have seen it on YouTube, but it just reminds you that children are funny. And we really have to keep that in mind.
Charlie. Charlie bit me. Ah. Ah! Oh, ouch! Ouch! Ouch, Charlie! Ow! Charlie, that really hurt! No, Charlie bit me. And that really hurt, Charlie, and it's still hurting.
The reason I like to watch that video is because you can't really describe why that's funny. Everybody laughs. Everybody thinks they're really cute. Everybody wants to, just know who those kids are and how their mom caught that moment on video, but no one really knows why is that funny. A child bit another child, and we all sit there and laugh at it. So there's something about working with children and understanding children and being around children that is different than being around adults. And you have to remember that. You're an adult, they're children, and that's a different thing. The last thing to remember is that kids grow up and they will pick your nursing home, so you really want to be nice to them. And I'm having a little trouble changing that slide, so I'm going to cue the gentleman in the back to change the slide for me. So you want to become an adult who gets it. We might have skipped a slide, but it's probably okay to do that. Let me see. No, we didn't. You want to become the adult who gets how to handle children. So you bring your baggage, you have tools. You've spent your whole lifetime learning about how to deal with life. You have some problems that are with you. You bring them into every relationship. You bring them into everything you're doing with your children, but you also have a lot of tools. The difference between you and a child is some kids come with baggage. Sometimes your children are very anxious. Sometimes your children are kids that are just uptight about small things that you can't understand why that bothers them. Sometimes they're children that don't take anything seriously. They're just really laid back. And that's who they are and the baggage they bring to any situation. But they only have one or two tools. One of the favorite tools for a 2-year-old is to scream, to throw themselves down on the floor and yell and have a temper tantrum. If once they get to be 3, they might be able to say a few things, but kids don't have a lot of ways to tell you what they want. One of them is hitting, one of them is yelling, and the other one is running out of the room. Those are their main tools that they're going to use when things get really rough on them. And you have to remember that. They don't have a lot of tools. I can't understand why we don't throw ourselves down on the floor and yell anymore. I cannot figure out when that stops. At some point, you just know that you shouldn't do that anymore. Like when you go to Walmart and they say, I'm sorry, we sold the last one yesterday, and you really needed that item. If you're 2, you will just lose it right there. But if you're an adult, you'll say, okay, and just feel really bad, and then go home and yell at your spouse. But you won't lose it in the store. So that's the difference between an adult and a child, how you handle things. So what we want to do is we want to create moments for children, and that's the main part of being a good parent, is creating those moments. We plan the birthday party. We spend weeks planning the birthday party simply so the child will walk in and go, and that's the moment you're going for. And that's it. You have to be willing to put that preparation in for that moment. The moment on Christmas morning when they come out and they see the present and go, that's it. It's just a moment. You worked really hard for that moment. You have to work hard for those moments every day. So dinner time has to have that moment where they look at dinner and go, oh, that's just what I wanted to eat. Thank you. That lunchtime, opening their lunch at school, when they walk in the door and they're wearing they got dressed themselves. Those moments are what you're working for with children. You, as a parent, create the moments. If you create enough moments, you have a pleasant day. Sometimes you'll just have 1 or 2 good moments, and that's okay. When you have kids that are challenging, you go for 1 moment a day, and that's good. The other thing you want to do is move away from the crises with a child. You don't want to spend a lot of time dwelling on the crises. Things go wrong. They have a temper tantrum. We're not going to leave Walmart and have a long discussion in the car. Just leave Walmart, get back in the car, say, well, we're going to probably try that again another day and work on that a little bit before we challenge that event. But we're not going to spend a lot of time discussing it. They're children. They don't learn from discussions. You might find that about the people you work with when you have long discussions with them. They didn't learn from that either. They just listened, and suddenly you were just making a lot of noise. To a child, they didn't get that. They left the event all emotionally upset, and suddenly your response to that was just to keep talking and not to fix it. So they're not going to respond to that. Just move on. Just get past it and take care of it the next time. Find the gift in your child. Find the gift in everybody you're around, but especially in your child. Look at that child and go, I know there's something good here. I'm going to keep looking till I find it. Because you will find the gift. The child, my second son, Nolan, who I talk about a lot when I do presentations, because he's not here, and he sang Yankee Doodle to his kindergarten class with F sounds. And the teacher called me in and she said, he sang Yankee Doodle with F sounds. He had the whole class doing it. Now, if you go through that quickly in your head, you realize when you get to stuck a feather that you have now said a swear word. And he enjoyed the whole class doing it and brought it up. As soon as they did it, he said, you all just said a naughty word. And the teacher sat me down and started admonishing me as a parent. And I thought, find the gift, find the gift. And I looked at her and I said, great leadership skills, don't you think? He got your whole class to do it at one time. And she just said, I knew you'd find a positive spin on it. You really need to control him. I said, Well, I don't know where he learned it, and she said, well, he said his brother taught him. I said, oh, his brother would never do that. His brother's the good son, and his brother had. So these are things where you find the gift in your children, you learn to enjoy them, you learn to laugh. You don't take your kids for granted. The fact that they took out the trash one day doesn't mean they're ever going to do it again, but they do know how to take the trash out. The fact that they got dressed one day all by themselves and actually came down and were ready for school on time doesn't mean they'll ever do it again. And it's okay. They know how to do it. That's your job as a parent, to send them out there doing, I know he knows how to do it. Hopefully he'll do it when he needs to. But getting a child to do something every day consistently, that's really hard to do, and that's a different type of parenting that sometimes may not work for you. I've had parents with kids who are very difficult who had a hard time transitioning in the morning. They couldn't get up, they couldn't get dressed, and they couldn't get to school. School is a very tough thing to go to. And they said, I just dress them in the morning. Don't tell the teacher. And I said, when you dress him, do you talk to him? They said, yeah. I said, is it a tender moment? He said, yeah, it's kind of nice. I dress him and he talks to me, and we're very close and very affectionate at that time. I said, then it's okay. Does he know how to dress himself? Yes, he does fine on Saturday mornings. I said, then don't worry about it. Use that moment to enjoy your child. And then if you really find that you and your child are not getting along and everything's a struggle, do something for someone else together. Go out and help at a food bank together. Go to a nursing home and bring little gifts for all the grandmothers and grandfathers at the nursing home. Just go do something with your child for somebody else. Rake somebody's lawn. Just have a good time together helping someone else. And that will really show you what a wonderful child you have. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to ask you to go back and show that video. This is a mother who really moved on from a moment really well.
Tell me what you just said.
I like you when you give me cookies.
You like me when I give you cookies, but you don't like me all the time?
Yeah, no.
Why?
But I like you, only love you get cookies from me.
Oh, so only when I give you cookies do you like me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I love you.
I love you too, but I don't like you all the time.
Oh, okay, thanks.
So I like to use younger children in examples of parents moving away from something, because it's always easier if you're trying to talk to a teenager and he's going, yeah, I love you, Mom, too, but I don't like you all the time. It doesn't come out as cute as it does with a little 2-year-old saying it. So we use the 2-year-old example. You will get the same thing with a teenager who you've just had a long talk with, and you say, I really do love you. And they'll say, yeah, whatever, love you too. Now, I don't like you right now, so you need to get out of my space. And that's okay. They're teenagers, and they're doing what they do. Now, this is problem solving from a kid's perspective. Again, if you understand children, you'll have happy children, you'll be better as a parent. So the first thing you have to know is kids fear the eternal expectation. You ask them to do something once, they think you're going to ask them to do it forever. Quickest way to get rid of that, and trust me, if you're in a working environment, you've seen this a lot. If you don't want to do something every single time, the first time someone asks you to do it poorly. Chances are they'll never ask you to do it again. They'll just figure that you won't. Now, in Families Together, we have a rule. If you do it poorly, we just keep asking you until you get it right. So the people know that's not going to work. Children really will fear that expectation. So if you're a child that doesn't do his homework and you're struggling with a child that just will not sit down and do the homework, and you finally get them to do it one night, be sure to tell them that you never expect them to do it again. You just wanted to make sure they could finish their homework assignment. You're grateful for one night, not going to ask them to do it again. Now, you may ask them to do it again, but tell them at that moment so that they can go to bed relieved that they may not have to do this again tomorrow. Because they will be so scared that you're going to ask them to do it all the time that they won't even try it one time. They won't take that risk. Most kids would rather be bad than stupid. Most kids that act out in class, most kids that are class clowns, they're just being bad because they don't want to look stupid. And that's a very common trait for every person, really, really comes out with children. They will always be naughty if they don't know how to do something. So anytime there's an incompetence issue, which is down there, the genuine incompetence, anytime a child feels like they can't do it, and it doesn't have to mean they really can't do it. They just feel like they can't do it. So my first son is being asked to hop in school when he was 3. I didn't know what he was asked to do. All I knew was he came out of school and he said, "I'm never going back to that school again, Mother. It's a terrible school. I don't ever want to go back." I said, "Okay." We went home. We came back the next day, and we sat in the car, and he looked at me and he said, "I told you I was never going back. Why did you even stop here?" Okay, so I went in and told the school he was never coming back. They said, "What happened?" I said, "I don't know." At 3, he didn't have the language to really tell me what had happened. He just said he wasn't going back. 4 years old, we drove by the school a year later, and he said, "They asked me to hop on one foot, and they wouldn't let me hold on." Because he felt incompetent, he was going to get out of there, and he was going to risk my anger, the teacher's anger, whatever would happen, but he was never going back there. He would rather face and be bad than look like he was stupid. He didn't know he couldn't hop on one foot, and there was really no expectation he'd be able to hop on one foot. He wasn't developmentally ready to hop on one foot. They just wanted to see him try. Well, he was developmentally ready to be humiliated. And because he was humiliated and couldn't deal with that emotion, he chose to be bad. Which he had a mother who said, "Okay, I'll take you somewhere else." So it kind of worked out for him. Now, the other thing children want you to do is they want you to be proud of them. You know, a lot of times we hear this intrinsic. You should feel good about yourself because you did it and you really tried. Now, we all know that's not true. We all want our boss to say, "You did a good job. Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for. That's perfect. Oh, that's great. Did you see what they just did?" We all want to hear that. Children are the same way. They want to hear that positive, "I'm proud of you. I think you're wonderful." No matter what happens, they want to know that Mom thinks they're wonderful. They want to know that you were just sitting at home waiting for them. They walked in the door and your life began. You're so proud of them. You can't, just the fact that they're not in the same room with you makes you sad. Kids want that. So we want to make sure we say that to them a lot. "I'm so proud of you. You did a wonderful job at that." And even if they didn't do anything good, "I'm just proud of the way you walked in the room. Proud of the way you smiled. Proud of the way your hair looks. Proud of that shirt." Proud of anything. They really don't care. They just want you to be proud of them. So do it a lot.